He went live with no warning, no polish, just a blank stare and a voice that sounded like regret. Justin Bieber, shirtless and unsteady, said things that felt less like performance and more like confession. "I'm sick and tired of hurting you, baby." Was that a lyric, a spiral, or both? The timing was impossible to ignore. Days earlier, Selena Gomez had dropped a new song while celebrating her engagement to Benny Blanco. The internet was already running hot. Then Justin appeared. Dim room, shaky hands, half-finished demos, and the story detonated. It didn't feel staged. It felt like a man coming apart in public. On March 29, 2025, more than 6,000 people watched him mumble, loop sad melodies, and share lines that sounded like pages torn from a diary. "I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. This ain't peace, it's punishment." He admitted the music was triggering his anxiety. Viewers saw his energy drain in real time. Jaw tight, eyes far away, fuel for endless screen recordings and frame-by-frame breakdowns. The internet did what it does, turned empathy into debate and debate into fire. Some said he was throwing shade at Selena's engagement. Others saw something deeper, unprocessed grief, a chapter he never finished reading. The theories multiplied because the puzzle pieces fit too neatly. Selena's new track, "How Does It Feel to Be Forgotten?" landed like a closing monologue. Then Justin went live as if the book had slammed shut on his fingers. Selena said the song wasn't about anyone in particular. The timeline said otherwise to people who wanted a story. She moved forward in daylight. His live stream felt like midnight. Fans stitched lyrics to lives, spliced memories with memes, and decided the narrative for him. She's healed, he's haunted. It didn't help that a few days later he posted a Lord of the Rings meme about girls on social media when they get engaged. Out of context, harmless. In context, gasoline. Add the live stream, the demos, the posture of a person who hasn't slept, and it read like a breadcrumb trail back to 2016. For a generation that grew up watching Selena happen in real time, this was familiar ache. He'd already admitted in past interviews he wasn't emotionally ready then. She'd named what she endured, emotional abuse, and how long it took to trust again. Her quiet years made sense. His live unraveling did too. One turned pain into boundaries. The other kept trying to write through it. Professionals chimed in from afar, worry about his gaunt look, worry about the spiral. His team countered, he's focused on family, on new music, on being present. The footage told a different story to people who had watched him since they were kids. Statements don't compete well with a man shaking on camera. Benny's engagement to Selena complicated everything. Not just because she said yes, but because he's someone who used to be in Justin's orbit. That proximity hurts in a special way. The friend with the ring, the past with a future. Unfollows got noticed, silence got noticed more. Fans don't need inside sources when the timing writes its own subtext. From there, the narrative swallowed everyone. Concern blurred into cruelty. Jokes about a baby's first word. Edits framing Hailey as the ever-present antagonist. It's easier to meme a marriage than to accept that three people might be trying to outgrow a story the internet keeps reviving. Hailey has said before there's no bad blood. Selena has told fans to stop harassing her. None of it sticks when the algorithm prefers smoke to water. Old clips resurface, timelines are redrawn, intent is assigned. What began as fandom calcifies into folklore. Somewhere under the noise is the unglamorous truth. Fame doesn't make your heart sturdier, it just makes your heartbreak louder. Justin's live wasn't only about an ex. It was about the cost of being everyone's coming-of-age soundtrack and never being allowed to age out of the role. Selena's ascent wasn't only about romance, it was the slow architecture of a life that doesn't need public permission. Hailey's quiet wasn't proof of guilt. It was a person refusing to feed a machine that eats nuance for breakfast. The triangle persists because it mirrors us. The profile you still check. The name that still stings. The almost you never fully buried. Justin's broadcast pressed on that bruise. Selena's calm exposed that contrast. Hailey stood in the crosswinds of a narrative she didn't write. Maybe there's no villain here. Maybe there never was. Just three people carrying different parts of the same unfinished song. And maybe the real ending isn't a post or a live or a lyric. It's the moment we stop needing their past to validate our own. And maybe that's the hardest part to accept. That even when the cameras turn off, the story doesn't. It lives on through us, the fans, the watchers, the ones who still scroll at 3 a.m., hoping for some new piece of unfinished poetry between Justin and Selena. But that story isn't theirs anymore. It's ours, recycled, rewritten, and replayed every time we need something to feel. Justin's pain, Selena's peace, Hailey's silence. They've all become symbols for emotions we can't name. We project heartbreak onto him, resilience onto her, and envy onto the one who stayed. But real life isn't built on perfect symmetry. It's messy, non-linear, and human. These people are no longer characters in a love triangle. They're adults trying to live past the noise. And maybe that's the quiet ending we've all been resisting. Because if we stop watching, the story finally ends. And maybe that's what scares us most, the stillness that follows. But Peace was never meant to go viral. It was meant to be lived. Maybe that's why Justin's breakdown felt so raw. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. For once, there was no PR filter, no catchy headline to cushion the pain. It was just a man caught between who he used to be and who he's still trying to become. The world saw chaos. Maybe it was actually grief. Selena's calm, Benny's quiet love, Hailey's endurance. They all stand in contrast to the storm he's still walking through. But that's life, isn't it? Not everyone heals at the same pace. Some people rebuild privately, others collapse publicly. And when fame turns every moment into content, even healing becomes performance art. In the end, maybe this story isn't about love or betrayal at all. Maybe it's about time, how it stretches, loops, and refuses to close when millions of eyes keep watching. Justin, Selena, and Hailey have all moved in different directions, but we keep them orbiting each other because we don't know how to let go. And when the screen goes black and the live stream ends, what's left isn't a scandal. It's a reflection of us, of what we hold on to, of the ghosts we won't bury. Because maybe the truth isn't that Justin can't move on. Maybe it's that we won't let him. Maybe that's why Justin's breakdown felt so raw. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. For once, there was no PR filter, no catchy headline to cushion the pain. It was just a man caught between who he used to be and who he's still trying to become. The world saw chaos. Maybe it was actually grief. Selena's calm, Benny's quiet love, Hailey's endurance. They all stand in contrast to the storm he's still walking through. But that's life, isn't it? Not everyone heals at the same pace. Some people rebuild privately, others collapse publicly. And when fame turns every moment into content, even healing becomes performance art. In the end, maybe this story isn't about love or betrayal at all. Maybe it's about time, how it stretches, loops, and refuses to close when millions of eyes keep watching. Justin, Selena, and Hailey have all moved in different directions, but we keep them orbiting each other because we don't know how to let go. And when the screen goes black and the live stream ends, what's left isn't a scandal. It's a reflection of us, of what we hold on to, of the ghosts we won't bury. Because maybe the truth isn't that Justin can't move on. Maybe it's that we won't let him. And maybe that's the ending we were never ready for. The one without closure, apology, or grand reunion. Just distance. 3 people who finally stopped performing for an audience that refused to blink. Justin, learning that silence can't save him, but peace might. Selena, realizing that healing isn't about winning, it's about no longer needing to prove anything. And Hailey, standing in the middle of the noise, refusing to collapse just because the world wants a reaction. That's the real story now. Not who loved who first, or who hurt who last, but who finally chose themselves. The cameras have turned away, but the echoes remain, soft and stubborn. Every fan theory, every viral clip, every song we overanalyze is just proof of how desperate we are to keep the story alive. But the truth? It's already over. The fairy tale broke years ago. What's left is something quieter, something more honest. Growth. 3 people who loved, lost, and learned in front of millions, and somehow found the courage to keep going anyway. And maybe that's the closure we were all waiting for. Not a headline, not a reunion, just peace. Peace. That word that used to sound so small now feels like the loudest ending of all. Because after everything, the songs, the tears, the theories, that's what everyone was searching for. Peace isn't dramatic. It doesn't trend or break the internet. It just exists quietly, like breathing after a storm. Selena's found it in her stillness, in writing music that doesn't ache anymore. Justin's trying to find it in his faith, his family, and the spaces where no one's watching. And Hailey, no matter how much the internet tries to define her, keeps choosing it by staying grounded, choosing love over noise. The fans will keep scrolling, searching for signs of tension, waiting for someone to slip. But maybe this is the moment we realize there's nothing left to find. The story we've been obsessed with was never about them. It was about us. Our need for drama, our hunger for emotion, our addiction to unfinished endings. Because if Justin finally heals, if Selena finally rests, if Hailey finally stops being haunted by ghosts she never invited, what do we have left to talk about? Just silence. And maybe that's exactly what they've been trying to earn all along. And maybe that silence is the real ending. Not the kind that fades to black, but the kind that breathes. The kind that says, it's over and that's okay. Because not every story needs another verse. Not every heartbreak deserves another song. Some stories simply outgrow their audience. For more than a decade, the world treated Justin, Selena, and Hailey like characters in an endless loop. Every breakup became a plot twist. Every caption was decoded like scripture. But what happens when the characters step off the page? When they stop performing and start living? That's where they are now, outside the frame, far from the noise. Justin holding his son, finding purpose in the kind of love that doesn't need to be performed. Selena laughing in a kitchen, her hands stained with paint, writing songs that no longer bleed. Hailey sitting in the sun, her phone face down, just breathing. No filters, no rumors, just life. And for the first time, the story belongs to them again. Not to us, not to the algorithm, just them, flawed, healing human. Maybe that's not the ending we wanted, but it's the one they deserve. And as the world slowly moves on, their names still linger like echoes in a hallway we refuse to leave. We keep glancing back, hoping for a post, a lyric, a glance, anything to remind us of the past we built around them. But those echoes grow fainter each day. Because the truth is, life doesn't replay, it rewrites. Justin's rewriting his as a father, trying to turn chaos into calm. Selena's rewriting hers as an artist, who finally gets to create without being defined by who she loved. And Hailey, she's rewriting hers by standing tall in a world that tried to paint her as someone else's shadow. Maybe that's what real growth looks like. Not dramatic closure, but quiet distance. The kind of distance where you don't erase the past, you just stop living inside it. The world might keep waiting for another twist, another heartbreak, another headline. But this time, there won't be one, because they've already done the hardest thing anyone can do after the world's watched them fall apart. They got back up, not as a couple, not as rivals, but as people finally free from a story that was never meant to last forever. And yet, even in that freedom, the story doesn't truly die. It just changes form. It lives on in the quiet corners of playlists, in old interviews, in lyrics that hit a little too close to home. It lingers in the nostalgia of fans who grew up believing love could conquer fame, distance, and time. Maybe that's why the world can't let go. Because letting go of them means letting go of a piece of ourselves. We watched Justin and Selena grow up, fall apart, and rebuild, not just as celebrities, but as mirrors of everything messy and human in us. The first love you can't forget, the mistakes you keep repeating, the hope that maybe one day the ending will make sense. But now, that ending belongs to them, not us. They've outgrown the narrative that made them famous. They're living quietly, imperfectly, and beautifully outside of it. Maybe that's the lesson buried under all the noise. That healing isn't a headline, and closure doesn't come from the world's approval. Because in the end, no matter how loud the internet gets, the truth is always softer. Some stories end not with fireworks, but with peace. And if you listen closely enough, past the gossip, past the theories, that's exactly what you'll hear. And maybe that's where it all ends. Not in drama, not in heartbreak, but in peace. Selena's found her calm, Justin's learning to heal, and Hailey's standing strong in her own light. They've all grown past the story the internet refuses to let die, because sometimes the real ending isn't loud. It's quiet. It's peace after years of noise. It's acceptance after chaos. If you felt the weight of this story, if you've ever believed in love, loss, and healing, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive like this. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and remember, some stories don't need an ending, just understanding.